This works so much better when I'm unmuted. So, hi, and welcome to 15-minute consulting best practices. I'm David A. Fields. And well, now that I'm unmuted, we'll dive into your questions. Deidre, before you put the first question on the screen there, if you're listening, throw into the chat, please. Let me know where you are today. Maybe what's the weather like? It is spring is sort of hit with a passion, or it's like exuberantly spring today in Connecticut. So let me know where you are and what the weather's like, and that will at least get us going. Also, there was a question that came in. There we go. Exactly. Thanks, Michael. There was a question that came in that we're not going to put up on the screen. And the question was, are these questions real or are they just your questions? All of these questions are questions that people ask us that they've submitted. So by all means, you can submit a question in the chat if you have one. Perfect. Michael, glad you're in Hudson and it's sunny. I like Hudson. I've been there. So let's dive in. Deidre, when you have a moment, put up the first question and we'll see how things are going, what people are asking, and I'll answer. All right. Question from Matt. Matt's asked, some engagements need a very specific skill set or industry expertise. Oh, I know this, Matt. I've had people say, I need someone with this specific expertise in a sub-industry on the project. I felt compelled to include that information in the proposal. So how should I lay that out? All right, interesting question, fair question. So this is a case where, so this is Matt from the Mid-Atlantic region, I happen to know, where you might be bringing in subcontractors. You might bring in folks who have, different expertise on your project to help complete certain parts of the project for your client. And like, should you just put their bios in the proposal, or what do you do with it? I think it's the question. And great, we've got Atlanta, Houston, and South Carolina. Awesome, perfect, love all of that. Thank you for letting me know. And if you haven't let me know where you are. Okay, so what do we do with experts? And here's part of it. When you find out certain expertise is being requested, it should be during the discovery process, right? During the context discussion, when you're asking and determining the parameters for the project, that's where you should be finding out they want an expert in weather forecasting, or they want someone who's got deep expertise in BMC remedy or something, right? In certain platforms. And because you're finding that out in discovery, you can note it in the context before you even submit a proposal, and in the context portion of your proposal, if you include context in your proposals, which we do, which means before you get into approach, before you get into any of that, where you're laying out for the client, here's what we've heard, this is what you told us. Well, one of the pieces in there and parameters is you're going to include, it could be just a one-liner. We will ensure that this project includes someone with deep expertise in BMC remedy, or this project must have an experienced weather forecaster on board. So it goes actually in the context section. A lot of clients are asking, they're hoping you'll send resumes. And I would lean toward not including resumes in your proposal. If necessary, as an appendix on your proposals, as an attachment or an appendix after everything, you could do a short bio on the people who are on your team that will be on this project. And I think that's probably the best way to handle it. So include it in your discovery, and then include it as a one-liner or in an addendum. And if any of you are listening, if you've said, "Oh, I've handled it differently, and this is a way that works for me," but by all means, chime in, because I think we can all help each other in this one. But hopefully that answers it. If you have questions, put them in the chat, whichever direction chat is on your screen. Deidre, what's the next question? Emily, how long should I try a marketing tactic or target market before abandoning it? Okay, yeah. And how do I know when I'm being persistent versus throwing good money and time after bad? All right. So really fair question. My guess is some of you who are listening, whether you're listening live or listening to this in replay, have had this same question. Like, how much do I invest? And if this isn't working, should I keep investing or maybe move on to the next thing? How long is long enough? If your practice is smaller and you're still trying to find what's our target market, where should we really focus? How long do we try one before we say this isn't working and we should move on? And so, quick question for you, if you don't mind typing in the chat whether this resonates, whether you've ever faced this kind of question before for yourself of, how long is long enough? Just so I know that is this a unique question or a question other people have. I'll give you a general answer and then perhaps some nuances on the answer. And I would separate marketing versus markets. So let's talk about target markets first, how long you should pursue them, and then we'll talk about marketing and how long you try it. So let's say you're going after a target market. You're saying, we're going to focus our consulting practice on the left-handed wallpaper hanger group. That we think there's a lot of need there, and our firm can address that. And very wisely. So first of all, if you do that, I want to applaud you for being specific. You will win more business by targeting specifically than by trying to serve everyone. So you decided left-handed wallpaper hangers group, and you're out there targeting them, you're talking with them, and yet somehow you're not winning business. How long should you give it? 6 months. I would give it a solid 6 months targeting that. That's assuming you're actually talking to people in that target. Michael had the same question about how long is long enough. Excellent. I think a lot of consultants run into this. And if you've had, let's put some guidelines around this though. In general, I would say 6 months because it takes about 6 months to have enough conversations for you to make a good judgment. If you spend 6 months and you can only get into 3 conversations with your target market, that doesn't mean that the target market is necessarily wrong. It means we have something else to address, which is why can't you get into conversations? Conversely, let's say you've spent 2 months, but you've had 300 conversations with prospects, one level decision maker prospects, and they're all like, yeah, don't need it. Then you don't need to wait for the rest of the 6 months to go by. So it's more about the number of conversations. And are you in enough conversations that you're getting feedback so that you can make a good decision? And in general, I would say for a market, 6 months, as long as you're being applying yourself and being diligent about having conversations, for most consultants, most small firms, that's usually about enough. Emily's question, I think it was Emily, was also about marketing. And marketing, I would look at a little differently. For any given marketing tactic that you're going to try, you're doing a podcast, you're writing, you're doing LinkedIn Lives, which we're still in our soft launch of. You're put a book out there. You're doing webinars. What you're partnering with folks, whatever it is. Your goal in terms of how long should I try this before I know whether or not to keep it going or not is a year. And I know for some of you, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, that is a long time, especially if there's an investment. Time invested, I'm putting money into this. I'm spending $1,000 a month or $5,000 a month. I have to do that for a year. Yes. With a few exceptions, and those exceptions are very few, marketing takes a long time to build. Any tactic needs time for you to get it right, to grow into it, for your target audience to notice it, respond to it. That's at a minimum. If you're going to work on partnerships or, for instance, conferences, trade association conferences, trade associations being a great example of partnering, and conferences being the combination of partnering or trade associations and networking, you need to do that for 3 years. It takes 3 years attending the same conference before it really starts to pay out. So that's an example of it taking longer. The only example where I would say you learn really quickly whether it works or not is if you're on stage, if you're speaking. But speaking always works. So if you're speaking and you're not winning clients, if you're literally on stage live in front of prospects and you're not winning any clients, there's something else broken. In general, I would say a year. So hopefully that answers that one. Deidre, let's try and do another before we run out of time on our 15 minutes. Okay, Warren. Yeah, I saw this come in actually. I'm struggling to get potential clients, or no, I'm struggling getting potential clients to understand the value of what I do and the possibilities of the tool I recommend. I think people don't recognize the power of the tool I'm recommending. How do I open their eyes? All right. So again, if this resonates for you, just let me know. Do you ever have trouble getting your prospects, getting clients to recognize the value of what you do or the value of some tool that you think they should be using? So let me know in the chat. Also, if you have other questions, just submit them in the chat and we'll try to fit them in today, or we'll just move them to next week. I love this question because it's extremely revealing. So I'm not sure whether Warren's on this week or not. The answer is you don't, for the most part. I will tell you how you can, but the first answer I want you to take away with you is that's not how consulting works. And it's very frustrating. It's just a very frustrating approach and a high energy, low reward approach, which is I've got something really valuable. Look, I've got bottles of water with straws, and you know what? Why don't people recognize the value of straws? It's like, dude, forget that. You're so focused on your own stuff, on your tool. If people don't get it, people don't get it. Go back to this idea of fishing where the fish are. Fishing where the fish are, the whole concept is, are people aware of the problem they have? Are they aware of the need? Or in your case, perhaps, are they aware that this tool is a useful tool? And do they actively want to solve their problem? Or do they actively want to use this tool better? And if people are aware of the problem and they want to solve the problem urgently, that's where the fish are. That's where you should spend your time because it's easy to win clients there. If you're living in a world of, well, people aren't really aware of the problem or they just don't get how valuable a straw is, and they don't seem to have any urgency around it, you're fishing where the fish aren't. And that's just hard work. It's way too hard. So first of all, stop trying to get people to recognize the value of what you have and instead pay attention to what are their concerns? What are their aspirations? What are they trying to achieve? Now, if your tool is an answer to what they're trying to achieve, if your tool will allow them to solve their problem or achieve their aspiration, then you can bring it to as a way to address that. Meaning you don't lead with the tool. Who cares about the tool? They've already said they're not aware of it. Or they don't lead with what you think the problem is. Who cares? They're not aware of it. You lead with what they think the problem is. They say, oh my gosh, I'm freezing. I hate it when it's freezing. And you say, well, you know what? The way to solve that is to be where it's warm. We have a weather prediction tool. So lead with their challenges, not with the your tool or the problem you particularly want to solve. So holy cow, I always talk too much. We've already hit 14 minutes. So before you go, I do have 3 requests. If you are not connected with me on LinkedIn, please do connect. LinkedIn and my name is David A. Fields. So just do that. If you do not see the weekly articles, definitely subscribe. If for no other reason than you get to see the illustrations, and coming up next month, because I'm on my annual May vacation, we have the caption contest, the illustration caption contest. So subscribe. And finally, submit questions for next week's LinkedIn Live by writing to info@davidafields.com. Thank you for being here. Have a fabulous week. Remember always, consulting is about them. It's about your clients and prospects. So give them value and give them kindness, and I will see you next week.